Turbo Deal Ultra Hyper Mega Multi Alpha Beta Extra Uber Prefix Combo.
Welcome to Challenge Accepted, Episode 10, double digits. We will be talking about a ton of stuff, mainly the, Gary, you're getting the vibration sound again from you. That's a little bit better, but still here, but that's okay. All right, so, welcome to Episode 10. We're going to be going over UI impressions, some dungeon basics, and talking about the new Breakout gameplay, which is just going to be a very interesting way to discuss. Gary, you have a really loud keyboard, by the way. Just want to point that out.
I know. I'm fun. Did you actually type, oh, you finally put in episode 10, and then did you say that we're playing WildStar?
I did. I did. What is so funny?
It still says untitled online.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna reload.
I just updated it, so... Twitch is weird, but whatever. It'll update. Alright, so, we have two new little hosts on the show here this week. Shriggs is unable to kind of commit to anything, and I just realized I have the wrong pictures for the wrong people, so that's my bad. But, yeah, this is just really professional, everybody, I know. No, that's the wrong picture. It's terrible. Wait, which one's that? Wait, oh, this one is okay, that's why, because the name's wrong. I'm prepared. Not really, but that's okay. How you doing, Gary? Doing good?
I'm pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. So, to my right or left, depending on which way you're looking at the stream, we have Delirium, who's currently a dog that's going to bring death. How you doing, Delirium?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good. And then directly below me is going to be Rusty. How's it going, Rusty?
What's going on? How are you?
Oh, you know, here and there. WildStar. Sad that we can't play all the time. You know, the basics.
I know.
Oh, I know. I just want to get back on.
I
Friday.
know. It's just
Tomorrow. Ah!
I got my countdown going.
Too bad I work all day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I work all day, then going to get a couch and having to move furniture for like probably the rest of the day. So, yay! It'll be interesting. But yeah. So our social media stuff. I am just completely discombobulated today. Apparently, our social media, as always, on our Twitter is going to be at Challenge Failed, and our Facebook, which we are still kind of working through. We haven't really gotten it up and running yet because Twitter's hard enough to keep on track. But if you do have a Facebook and you want to like our page, it is Challenge Accepted without the E's in the word accepted because we're cool like that. Website is challengeaccepted.com, spelled the exact same way, ACCPTD. Or yeah, PG. Yeah. What? I don't know. Oh, well, whatever. That's okay. So, WildStar. Apparently this show's about WildStar. Rusty, since you and Delirium are new, Rusty, what was your overall impressions of WildStar? We'll kind of get to know you a little bit here.
Yeah, this past beta weekend was my first intro into WildStar, and coming from 10 plus years of World of Warcraft, raiding and whatnot, it's refreshing. It's very nice to get in there and kind of see these telegraphs and to see a whole new lore system building itself up. So it's kind of cool.
All right. So did you find the combat like extremely off-putting before, like when you first started playing the game?
No, I thought it was. I was totally fine with it. It's when I started swapping classes, I started noticing, like I was very hardcore into the engineer, and then once I started playing with the other classes, I felt that like An engineer is a slow class to play. He doesn't move through telegraphs, but
Right.
it's something you just got to get used to, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yep. That's fair. That's fair. Delirium, how about you? What was your overall first impressions of the game?
Well, actually, Tyremus was the one who originally got me into the game, and
There goes your social
yeah.
life.
Yeah, pretty much. But I've been playing it over the past couple of beta weekends, and I've really enjoyed it. Like, I was also a big time player of World of Warcraft. I was playing all through like Burning Crusade and Wrath of Lich King and everything like that as well.
Okay.
And something I noticed about this game was I like the combat system a lot.
Right.
And the reason for that is that the way I describe the game to people is that it's a combination of Borderlands, League of Legends, and World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Just like in terms of its like gameplay, lore, feel, everything like that. Because it's, like the action combat system, the telegraphs on the ground kind of remind me of like the skill shots and everything in League of Legends, and I really like that.
Okay.
But then it also has like the ability cycling and activation that you see in World of Warcraft, similar anyways.
Right.
So I like that it's a much faster action-based combat system, because that's something that was actually boring me about World of Warcraft when I was playing it. So yeah, no, I really like the combat system.
Okay. Was there any classes that you found really, really different compared to like your World of Warcraft days? I know that like the combat system can be like completely different, but like was
The
there any-
Stalker.
Okay.
The Stalker was a bit off-putting for me because, like, when I was playing the Stalker, I really like the Stalker class, but like the fact that a rogue-type character can actually tank is really interesting.
Okay. Did you ever play Star Wars: The Old Republic?
No.
Okay, because like their Stalker / Assassin classes could tank, which it was a lot like that. Kind of like the deflection type of style tank, which is an interesting kind of concept, I think, for a lot of people that, like yourself, have come from World of Warcraft, and it's like, oh, a tank has a lot of HP and armor, where in this one it's like, no, I just deflect everything that comes at me, and if I get hit, I really hope it doesn't one-shot me type of deal. So,
Well, I've played a couple games in the past where I've experienced dodge tanks or deflection tanks, and like I guess just I'm so used to playing World of Warcraft and having, like you said, high armor, high HP, just getting hit all the time because you can't actually dodge in World of Warcraft.
right.
So yeah, like that was the reason that it was off-putting for me, not because I hadn't seen it before, but because I was so used to World of Warcraft, I guess.
That's fair. That's fair. So as far as the new UI goes, Rusty, what was your overall impressions of the very new UI? I mean, compared to the old one, obviously it's a huge improvement, but there was a lot of bugs, which was really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, it was the Datacron they have on the bottom right now. It's a very cool feature. It just feels like a second quest log, but it just takes up a huge chunk of it. It takes up almost a sixth of the screen just to give you a few small things. It just seemed like a lot of padding.
Yeah,
I love the
definitely agree
new.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just insane. But I do love the new resource system. I like how they have those designed. Most of them I liked. The engineer seemed a little boring. Just that brown bar moves back and forth. But like the warriors is amazing, where it just becomes a skull that gets bigger and bigger. And the spell slinger's got some wild stuff going on with that. So there's a lot of nice new features in there. I like the trade skills; those look really cool now.
No,
But-
yeah, I would definitely agree. The trade skills look a lot better. I still think the crafting is confusing as crap, and definitely I really
Yes.
think the overall crafting UI just needs to be completely redone and a little bit better explained. It definitely could use some hugs and kisses there. But Delirium, what were your overall impressions of the new UI?
Honestly, they're pretty much the same as Rusty's. I don't really like the fact that the Datacron is so huge.
I really hate the border of the Datacron. Like, I like
Yeah.
the new UI, but I found that for the far majority of the time leveling like my medic as an explorer, I wasn't really like I only really wanted to know what the closest explorer thing was to me. Like as quests go, I didn't need to know like 3 of them at a time. And
Yeah.
I think it's really big. And I wish there was a way to just be like I only want to know one thing and I want it to be like smaller. So that's either
Kind of building on that, like if you were to take the Datacron and you were to say that there are so many quests available around you, but only show like the details for the one closest to you, I think that would be a lot better.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept to have like path quests along with your quests, but I think that the really everyone's biggest gripe is that the whole thing doesn't stay minimized. It keeps popping up there all the time, and I think that's everyone's biggest frustration with it. So I think if they
that's
fix
a bug
that,
though. So
yeah, I
that's
mean it's a
that's
bug. So I
you
mean,
know that you can hack that though. You can go into the settings and
Yeah,
they
just
have
disable
the
it,
on
yeah.
and off. You can just like always off and it won't even pop up.
I didn't notice this while playing, but have they added like a clock anywhere? Because I know that
Yes,
was
they did.
actually a big
Yeah.
demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If you
Because-
hit escape and go to HUD, there'll be the option for the clock over there somewhere. I don't remember. What
Okay.
it's,
Yeah. Because
Um,
that was
I just
something that
couldn't set it.
I was missing.
There was one add-on that I found to be extremely useful for the new UI, which was movable frames, and like you were able to hide like a lot of like the background art. So it made the Datacron area like really like just like a big black box instead of like this huge like overlay thing. And you're able to hide all the background art for the new overlay and just have like the buttons on screen, which that's what I'm used to because my World of Warcraft UI was like that. I just had buttons. I didn't have any of the fancy art. You're able to move your resource bar and everything. So I think like that the new UI plus the movable unit frame add-on, which is just phenomenal. I mean, Carbine has done a fantastic job with the UI. But I mean, bugs are bugs. So I think it's safe to say that everyone's dislike is kind of the Datacron then.
Well, I also kind of dislike the floating nameplates that you get around the screen that you can adjust and like move around the screen.
I agree.
I'd much rather just have like you know the mods that can just give you the floating nameplates above the people that you target, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why WildStar hasn't done something like that yet. I know they've put the names above everybody now, but I'd rather just have like the name, their health, everything there above them. Because I don't know, that's just something that once again I'm used to seeing from games like World of Warcraft.
Yeah. It's really difficult, I think, for a brand new game, like really any MMO, to come out and go, here's our UI, and people are gonna go, it's not like World of Warcraft, we hate it.
Yeah.
So,
right.
like, I mean, personally, I am very guilty of this too because, like, honestly, it's really spoiled us with all the different customization options that we have with World of Warcraft and Star Wars and Rift and like all the MMOs that have that customizable UI. So it's like it's something that you have to kind of get used to and go, okay, we're starting off in vanilla. There wasn't a lot of good add-ons back then. As a matter of fact, there wasn't any add-ons for like the first 6 months to a year, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just about.
And then once the add-on scene, everything just exploded, and we're like, wow, I'm never going back to the old UI ever again. Because I mean, it was really bad. But you have to give props to Carbine because they allow you to move your target and your player unit frames, which was why you couldn't move those way back when just still boggles my mind. It's like, why would I look all the way up in the corner when I'm trying to fight something in the middle of my screen? Like, the whole, I don't know, that never made any sense to me.
I don't like having it in the middle of the screen. Personally, I like having it up in the corners because that way I can
wow.
actually focus on what's happening, right? Like, I can focus on the actual fight. So,
Yeah.
like, when it's actually in the middle of the screen, I find it distracting for me.
See,
But-
I'm the exact opposite because as soon as I could move my UI, I put everything at the bottom of my character's feet so I could focus
Yeah.
on everything. But it's a little bit different because in WildStar you got to watch out for telegraphs, you got to watch out for all those other things on the screen. So it's like really, really hard to
That's why I
to
find it
focus
distracting.
on things. Yeah, but I mean, like after a while, I've started to like kind of get used to it. Washers one actually said, "What about BG plates?" And that BJ plates, excuse me. not
That's
BG.
actually the mod that I was using
Yep.
for quite a while.
Yeah,
and
that-
I
that-
do actually
I
prefer that.
I linked a video for it, but I was just talking to him about it because he said even further up he was talking about the one thing of that with the healing and PvP. It's kind of annoying with the targeting. You put that add-on on, and it'll change it so you can see the shields and the health at the same time. They're one on top
Yeah.
of each other.
Yep.
And on top of that, when you're healing a group and you see them all in front of you, you don't have to look to your raid frame at all. You can just look right in front of you and be like, that person's health is down, and then heal them.
See,
It's just a lot faster and a lot easier.
See, like with a medic, that's definitely the way to go. With like a spell slinger or an esper, you're gonna have to use the raid frames that they give you, or if you want to, you can use. Someone actually made grid already, which I was so happy about because as a healer for 8.5 years, grid like was just the best thing ever because you're just like, okay, so I'm gonna make this tiny little box just sit there, and I can just watch the rest of the screen and just click heal, click heal, click heal. It was awesome. And it's really interesting to kind of see the difference in variance between World of Warcraft UI, SWTOR UI. We go to, I mean, heck, even Elder Scrolls Online UI, Rift UI, and then WildStar UI. I mean, if you look at how they've designed their game and their UI, Carbine has kind of taken a little bit from everything and went, okay, this works, this doesn't work, but let's try mashing these two things together, and it just kind of comes out to like this really, really well done, kind of polished UI.
I've noticed that they've done that for pretty much like every aspect of the
I
game.
know.
They've taken all the good parts of like MMOs and they've tried to get rid of like all the bad parts. At least what they see as the bad parts, right?
See, it's
So
go ahead, Delirium.
My issue actually is to do with NPCs. You know, you walk around the towns and stuff, and they're always talking, but it doesn't show up on your chat windows. It shows up in these bizarre bubbles all over the place. For something that they want to immerse you with the lore, it's hard to get into that because there's no place to see, is that an NPC talking? Is that a player who's role-playing near me? So that is one of my issues with the UI is it's hard to see chat functionality
Yes.
when you're just out in the world.
One of my bigger complaints about what one of the problems I was finding, like, with I would be going in to pick up a quest, right? And I pop a quest up, and then like nameplates were like crossing over top of the quest text,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to read what the guy's saying, and I don't even know. Then I hit accept, and the character would say some random thing, and it would pop up in a quest bubble, and I can't even read it all. I mean, I know you can read it down in the bottom left corner because it pops through your global chat, but that's a problem. I mean, if you're gonna have text box, they should be on top of everything, so you don't have any problem.
Yes. And my text boxes were bouncing. They would jump right to the top of the screen and then scroll themselves off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have this not windowed. Why is this moving all over the place?
Personally, I just want I want my old school quest box back where it pops up in a little window. I don't want a little bubble over the NPC's head. I don't want that because one, it's so hard to read. Two, the way that they've done the nameplates is kind of weird because that's really the only thing that bugs me about the UI right now. It has bugged me for like the entire duration of the game is the way that the names are is just like a huge cluster screw of just words. Like Guild
Green.
Wars 2 had this problem. And I don't know what World of Warcraft did, but somehow like when you go into a big city, you don't have that problem. I think it's because they have clustered NPCs a little bit too close together to make it look like a thriving, universe. And I appreciate that. That's great. But I think they need to tone down on the NPCs, especially the NPCs with all like little guild tags. That's overdone.
Yes.
It's like I don't care if you're with Death Tribe 47 and you're with Death Tribe 48. Just you're a guard, you're a guard, you're a guard, and you're a quest giver. Like I don't want everyone to have like each individual name. I mean,
Well, I'm okay with that, but I just don't think it should be on by default. I go into the settings and I turn off NPC names, but I mean like there are some NPCs that I just don't care about because they are literally filler. And I mean, maybe you should just make those kind of people clickable. You click on them and then they talk to you and you find out their name. Like, not necessarily like conversation. You just click them and it throws a chat up. It's like, Jeremy says, I am planting flowers today. And it's sunny out. Like, you know,
Jeremy's
fucking-
always planting flowers.
and like I think that's a pretty good that would be a pretty good way of doing that, as opposed to
It
just
reminds me of like all the Pokemon games where you could just go up and talk to random people,
Dude,
and even if
that
they're
was
completely
awesome.
useless,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just say
yeah.
the most random things.
No, totally.
No, yeah, I think that, let me adjust my webcam settings here, because for some reason it's like, hey, pretty colors. There we go.
I also noticed, and maybe it's silly, but you go around. I have my girlfriend. This is her first MMO.
Mhm.
It's her first real big video game, and I'm trying to get her to go around. And I'm like, "Oh, the quest is right there. You can see the checkpoint, the check mark over his head."
Right.
And then sometimes the check marks just blend into the background. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the colors that they chose are too orangey around the rest of the world, but in
noticed
the
that,
orange
yeah.
starting
They
area,
like orange.
it's impossible to find them.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that, because another complaint about the new UI was people were complaining about, and I completely agree with this, is that they show quests that you can pick up that are either not complete or are available on your main map, and it just like clutters the map.
Hmm.
Like that, it's not needed to show grayed out quests that you haven't completed yet on the main map. Just show
Right.
where the quests are, where I need to go, and then show
Some
me.
of those great. No,
Yes.
I would be happy if they were grayed out. I spent 20 minutes on Saturday trying to get a quest because on my map it's like yellow exclamation mark. I'm looking around, and I'm like zooming in and out, and I'm like, where's this quest? And I'm like, it must be in the tree. I'm gonna run around, and I'm like, in the tree, and then I'm looking for stuff, and then I'm like, oh, it's the quest I already have.
Yeah, it's so.
Now I
so-
feel stupid.
Well, it's so frustrating because I did that this past weekend too, like 4 times, and I'm like, just stop it! I'm getting confused. But yeah, the overall map and mini map is a huge improvement because I finally added different gatherer icons, and it's not all just one big blue dot. You're like, oh, what am I gonna find this time? Oh, it's a tree. I can't do trees. Or oh, it's a rock. But now it's like a tree, rock, and like different icons for the maps, which is just, thank you, Carbine. That was driving me bonkers.
I am
Yes.
spoiled by World of Warcraft's mining system. You know what those look like. They're nodes, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a node. I'm gonna mine that. And in WildStar, it's like, that's a round object. I think that might be a rock, or maybe it's something I can mine.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time to get used to the way that they look. Like a lot of them look like rocks that have been injected with like steroids that just like turned out horribly wrong. It's
Yeah,
just
they're
like,
just weird.
kill me, like I have an extra arm I'm not supposed to have. But I mean, it all kind of goes along with their wacky, crazy world of Nexus, which, you know, you just gotta love to appreciate, because it's so well done. It's just so well done. So that was kind of the UI. Tyrus, did you have anything else to add to the UI or anything?
I don't know. I really like how slick it is and everything like that. I think it looks really good. I don't really have a lot of complaints. I know there's bugs and they can fix those. I think the Datacron should be smaller. But my biggest complaint about the UI, and this existed in UI 1.0 and existed in 2.0 and any iteration that they have between, can someone please give me a lock UI button or toggle
Oh, yeah.
somewhere? Like, so I use, like, I can't be alone in this. Now, I use
No,
my
you're
two
not.
mouse buttons to move, so I hold one mouse button down to, like, move the camera.
Right.
And then when I am running one way and the camera is facing the opposite direction, I will click the other mouse button and turn around. Now, when you're holding that button down, you actually can't see the mouse on the screen.
Right.
So if you happen to move the mouse over top of another UI button, even though you can't see it, and then you click that button, it attaches your mouse to that UI element.
And
So
you-
quite often I would drag my map off the screen, and then I'd have to relog. I'd be like, it'd be gone, or like I'm clicking, I'm fiercely driving around, I'm like in PvP, and I'm jumping, and then I click it, and then all of a sudden I'm also dragging my health bar around with my mouse, and I'm like, and I can't let go, and I can't do anything, and I'm
That's
still
awesome.
like in mid combat. So like, obviously there's more important things.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, this doesn't work out well. Doesn't work out well. And all they have to do is just like make the stuff not clickable with a toggle, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, the
I
the,
would-
the,
it
the
would be
whole
nice.
like
That's-
click through icons type of thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want the UI modular, and I want it to be moved, but like I want to be like, here's where my health bar goes, here's where the enemy's target frame goes, and like here's where these things go, and then I want to go stop, and then they cannot move anymore.
No move for you. Don't do it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's I've had that experience a couple times, and it's actually kind of funny when that happens because you're like, wait, what? So yeah, that's annoying, but that's okay. Yeah,
I'm really shaking my camera up while I'm talking about this. It's got me heated.
I've noticed. Yeah, you're like "Ugh," rage and just inducing panic. Anyway, so the UI overall is really good. I mean, obviously they got to fix stuff. There's lots of bugs, but that's what happens at any time you change something really major in the game. I mean, I'm sure if they ever added like different classes to some of the different races, like we'll have like really funny bugs that happens with them too. So, come on, Medicarin, let's go, come on. But or Chalker or Chalker, Chua Stalker. There we go. Yeah, Chalker.
Chua Stock would be interesting.
And I would name him Chalker because why not?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go over some dungeon basics here, and just kind of go over like the best way to approach a dungeon in this game, or just really any type of group combat that involves tanking, healing, and DPS. Rusty, Delirium, have you guys had a chance to actually play any of the dungeons yet?
I
No,
did make
I've-
it to the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't actually gotten to play in a dungeon yet, but I have watched a lot of videos on dungeons.
Mhm.
So like I do know a bit about the dungeons.
Well, to be fair, you had finals, so you were kind of studying your butt off.
Yeah, no, I had to rush a 15-page essay, which is
Oh.
never a good thing.
And let me guess, you waited till like the last day to do it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that figures. So the way that combat works in this game is just phenomenal. It's fluid. There's not a lot of room for error. In fact, there's really no room for error in this game. I mean, like, yeah, you have a small amount of error, but you can do that like once or twice, and then your group wipes, and you're like, oh well, that was exciting. Let's not do that again. Over the weekend I got to teach a new group of players how to run Storm Talon, which was just phenomenal, and it took us 103 minutes to run the dungeon, which usually it takes like 30 minutes. I mean, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. You know, if you have a little bit slower DPS, and you know It was really interesting seeing their progression and learning how the combat of WildStar really complements your teamwork, complements the way that your group coordinates together, and complements your overall skill and appreciation for the mob itself that you're fighting. Because you actually respect that mob as you're fighting it, because he can kill you. You know, it's not like World of Warcraft or pretty much any other MMO, for example, that, okay, yeah, you have a boss, cool, you can stand some fire and stuff and be okay, and your healers can just heal through it because they heal you for 10 billion a tick or something like that. No, not, you see, like, in WildStar, it's like, okay, so you stand in this telegraph, you will die. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts. You stand here, you die. You stand there, you
I don't
die.
know.
Yes, Gary.
I don't know. I don't die when I stand in telegraphs. I watch you die when you stand in telegraphs.
That's something that actually really caught my eye about the dungeons in WildStar, because because of their combat system, and also just because of the sheer level of difficulty within these dungeons, like at least from what I've been seeing and watching, is like you like you said, you respect even the trash mobs, because even the trash mobs can kill you. Like
Yes.
and then once you kill
Oh, man.
even that trash mob, or even the bosses, like there's this real level of satisfaction that you get. Like you can actually really appreciate actually beating that group of characters, right? So
So Sed and Shriggs and I went and did on Saturday. We did Storm Talon. Yeah, and we got in there and we were like, for one, I'm gonna just put this on the table. 3 engineers in a 5-person party. When 2 of them are DPS. Not enough DPS. Not at all.
Well, to be fair, level 20, the engineer does not have very good DPS. I mean,
Yeah, totally. I mean, Shriggs isn't level 20, but I mean, he gets down leveled, right? But like,
yeah.
wow, not enough. But so we were in there, we were doing it, and we died a bunch of times. And there was this engineer, and he was just like, oh, I can't believe the tank keeps dying. I can't believe the tank keeps dying. I'm like, well, because I have to keep healing you guys because you suck. And then, I mean, like, they were like. It was so bad. He had his bot out, and it was the gun bot, and it was pulling mobs in while we were doing it. We were trying to stay alive, and I'm like, you got like, you know, pet classes. You got to be taking care of your pets. But man, oh man, it was ridiculous. And but yeah, so we got through it. We got down to the last boss, and then the whole server crashed, and we couldn't actually play it anymore, which was no fun. But we got through it, and we got through all the other bosses, and it was significantly harder than what you're used to for a dungeon. But I mean, that you got to remember though, like. This game does the ship hand missions as like soloable dungeons for like you or maybe you and one person go in and you do those.
I did play in one of those, and those are actually pretty fun.
And then you get above that as adventures. Now adventures, you really should be doing them between dungeons. Like dungeons and adventures are essentially the same thing and essentially not the same thing. Mm-hmm. And it's. If you're not gearing yourself up or like getting prepared to like doing that group content through those first, you're really missing some stuff because the dungeons are a lot harder with telegraphs and like you're the way that you have to like work together.
You can't just walk into the dungeons in adventuring gear and be like, all right, let's try tanking this.
Oh, you can if you're in normal mode, but like if you were if you were a veteran, you definitely would have to
that was not going to happen.
So, Gary, you mentioned like leveling down, that Shriggs had to level down. How does that work exactly? Because I haven't seen that yet or really read anything about that yet.
Okay, so like what? I mean, it was kind of buggy though. The last time I looked, where you could still use some of your like tier 4 abilities and stuff like that. But I think
they actually fixed that.
They fixed that? Okay,
yeah,
so
you can use all your amps and everything, but you're just down leveled to level 20.
Yeah, you get down leveled. So like as soon as you go into the instance, everybody is level 20.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does make a difference when you have like better gear. So when you get down leveled, it takes the max stat that you can have for that thing. So from what I understand, if you have like level 50 gear and you get down leveled and the gear is all the stats on it are well over that that area, you're going to get like the max stat for each section on that gear, and that'll make you more powerful. But I mean, I was level 43 when we did this, and I mean, it didn't help my healing a significant amount. I mean, I was doing healing, but it felt like I was level 20 again.
Yeah.
So essentially, you can join any dungeon group. You just get down leveled to the same level.
Yeah. Everyone can play
really
together.
Cool.
And
that's really cool.
And the gear that drops is all for level 20. But when you start doing veterans and things like that, they're all level 50 gear. So you can kind of practice your way through non-veterans and then go into a veteran and do it. But I would veteran your adventures before I would veteran your dungeons.
Yeah, it seems like the gear progression is going to be level 50, and then if you're geared enough, you can do veteran dungeons, but veteran adventures are probably going to get you into the veteran dungeon. It's a little bit easier than it would be the other way around. But, I mean, like, I've seen some of the veteran fights, and, like, they're just more complicated telegraphs, and, like, they just require your group to have a little bit more extra stuns on hand. But like I personally haven't fought them, so I'm not sure what your DPS has to be.
I think they hit harder, and they're also higher health as well.
Yes, of course.
So.
That's obvious. Yeah. So like it'll be interesting to see like how that actually works. And yes, Nogoth, it is like Final Fantasy, pretty much. I mean, so like, okay, so the basics of dungeons is you have your tank, your healer, and your DPS. Your tank is going to the one being holding the aggro, just like any other MMO. Then we have our healer, which heals pretty much the same, but there's no tab targeting. Like the Esper is the only one with like targetable heals. Everyone else has to aim their heals. Medic, Spellslinger, and Esper are the healers of the game. DPS
Isn't aiming for healers like extremely important now? Like you actually need to position yourself to heal better, and
yeah, it's
Yeah.
healing. I think is probably going to take the most skill in this game when it comes to end game PVE, because you pretty much have to rely on your healer not to be a complete doofus and just be like, I'm aimbotting heals, yeah. Like you can't do that. Like there's no such, like, you never know. It could be an aimbot heal. I don't know, but I think that especially for the Spellslinger, I think the Spellslinger is probably going to be one of the more difficult healers to actually pull off because a lot of their heals are a little bit more line focused. Esper is a little bit more like kind of like raid healing focused, a little bit more AoEs, a lot of good single target healers, and then the medic is going to have like the best like kind of like group heals where he heals in a cone. He has a lot of really good buffs. He has a lot of really just like strong shield buffs as well. So I think we're going to see the medic be focused on like melee groups and like buffing certain groups and whatnot. We're going to see the Spellslinger probably be focused on more of a tank, possibly a tank healer. Again, I don't know any of this because we're not at the end game.
I don't know. Like I still think the medic is the best tank healer, especially when it comes.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's because they're in the thick of it. They're right next to them. They're constantly there. But I mean, like it really depends on who's in your party and how good they are at what they're doing. Because like if you have a Spellslinger in your party and they're not very good at being mobile, then they're constantly having to run away from the tank and heal them, and run away from the tank and heal them. But if you are actually paying a lot, if they are paying a lot of attention, they're not going to hit a lot. One thing I did notice though that is a lot different than like when you play like WoW for healing is a really good example of this.
Mm-hmm.
When you're healing in WoW, I mean you just burn your cooldowns, you burn them all constantly, except for like maybe a few specials. Like you have like a few like this one's got a 2-minute cooldown, so I'm gonna save it for like this exact moment and then I do it. But like for the most part, all of your spells just kind of like you activate them when they pop up and you have an order and you do them all. You can't do that. You can't do that at all.
Yeah.
Like in WildStar, you've got to be like, okay, well, their health is okay right now,
But their shields aren't. Spam the shield buttons. Yeah.
or like just not heal them for like a few seconds. Like just wait, because if you do just burn your cooldowns constantly, you lose focus and or like I mean I've played medic, so you're losing focus so fast that it's just I mean you'll get to a point where you're out of focus and then there's nothing you can do and these people are gonna die around you because of it.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Go ahead, Rusty.
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just noticed that we were talking about like the setups. I think that it's going to be a lot to do with your best healers are going to be dependent on your tanks.
Yes.
I've noticed that medics seem to synergize well with warriors who benefit from having shields up at all times,
Mm-hmm.
whereas medics just load shields up over and over again.
Right.
Whereas probably like the engineer who tends to be more ranged is probably going to be supplemented probably really well by the Spellslinger because they'll probably both be on the move most of the combat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think Stalker is probably going to be a little bit more difficult one to heal because,
I think so too.
When Tyremus, myself, and Shriggs were in a dungeon, we had to completely revamp our combat just because of the way that the medic heals. So we had to have like everyone like stand like super close to me because they were getting hit too because of just AoEs and stuff. And it was really hard for Tyremus to kind of keep the tank and the ranged DPS alive at the same time because he was like, because you can't take your resonators and do like the whole like Arnold Schwarzenegger move and just like shoot 2 pistols at either side and just like spin around or something. There's no like super fountain heal. Like he can't just like spin around and just like heal everyone at once. So I think Tyremus is definitely correct when he said that medics are going to be the best tank healers because they're going to be able to heal the medic group as well, or the melee group as well. Whoever is typing is going to punch you.
That's Shriggs.
Shriggs is not here. You cannot blame someone that is not here.
Are you kidding me? I could totally blame Shriggs. Shriggs, What are you doing?
So-
Stop typing.
For those asking in chat, so a couple people are asking what kind of guild we're going to be running. We're going to be running an endgame progression guild focusing on PvE progression and competitive PvP. If you go to our website, challenge accepted has no ease.com, you can click on the forum at the upper tab there and fill out an application. It's just like 3 or 4 questions. It's like, what's your name, social security number, birthday, bank account number, the standard guild application questions. So we're
It's true.
it is true. We're not like super hardcore, like everyone has to show up 5 days a week for 8 hours because we all have lives and we enjoy them.
Yeah, we're casual, but we're really into the game, so we sound
We're
hardcore.
hardcore casual. We're like
Yeah.
we're like
Makes me feel filthy dirty.
Casual players. I don't know if I can be part of this guild now.
Hey,
now.
no god.
well,
you're definitely casual, no god.
Yeah,
all those posts you
don't
make,
touch me,
all that
filthy
hardcore
casual.
work you do.
yeah, you filthy casual. Don't touch me. But so the main reason and the main thing you kind of really have to look out for in the whole combat system is you got to let your tank get aggro. People do not get this in Dungeon Finder, and this is why I stopped using it, which is another topic we'll get to in here in a second. Okay, so if you're in a group as a DPS and your tank goes in, don't just go, buttons, press DPS. Don't do that. Because it's not like World of Warcraft or any other MMOs where they just get threat instantly. No, you got to let them ramp up that threat, even on the normal mobs.
Yeah, there's no snap threat.
Yeah, there's no snap threat. This is not easy mode. This isn't World of Warcraft, Cataclysm. So wait 5 seconds, and they'll have aggro, and you can go crazy. Like on my Stalker, my current build, if I don't wait at least 10 seconds, I pull aggro because I open up with 3 impales, do my punish, do 2 more impales, and then by then I've done like 25,000 to 40,000 damage depending on my crits. Like in the course of literally 3.5 seconds. I mean, that's a lot of threat. So a tank's gonna look at you and go, dude, really? I sneezed on him. He's not gonna come to me quite yet. Just let me wipe his face off and punch him. Just give me a second here. So I mean, it's funny because like I used to be able to do that all the time in World of Warcraft because of the misdirection tool that they finally gave rogues because they were threat whores. And I was like, oh, cool. So you can't do that in this game. You're just going to kind of sit there and wait and then go crazy. I mean, it's even worse with like a spell slinger that just has like this super burst that's just like bam, bam, bam. And the tank's like, oh, okay, so you have aggro for the next 4 hours. I'm going to go sit and drink some tea. So like really, if you're in a Dungeon Finder and if you're in a normal, just regular queue with people you don't know, let them get aggro. And also, tanks, make sure your healers are with you. Make sure they're paying attention. Because they can't just run up and go, oh, you're almost dead. I'm just going to lay on hands you, and bam, and you're instantly healed. No, you're probably going to die, wipe the group, and then they're going to yell at you, and you most likely get kicked. So
I miss the spell lay on hands.
I don't.
Sorry.
I really don't. Paladins.
Really, I like the spell lay on hands.
Paladins
because
can
it's
die
fair.
in a fire.
It's
What?
It's D&D. So like,
Freaking.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
what you
almost
get
dead.
is
Lay on
Paladin.
hands. Oh, I'm almost dead. Bubble, heal the full. Oh, I'm almost dead. Second bubble, heal the full. Oh, I'm almost dead.
That's
Stun, heal the full.
you know what? That's the way they work in
Screw
D&D.
you.
Totally okay with it.
Screw you.
It's the best way to main tank and then be like, no, don't worry about it. I got this. And then just lay your hands just back to it.
I also have to mention that I am a paladin tank. in World of Warcraft,
that does not
so,
surprise me
That's why.
whatsoever. It just doesn't. See, Gary.
I don't miss that gong noise though.
What? That was the
No,
best
it-
noise ever. My favorite was a paladin can pull the entire instance, lay down one consecrate, and have threat for the rest of the fight. I was like, wait, what? How does that? That makes no sense whatsoever. But that's okay. So yeah,
Consecrate was just like you literally can't steal threat from me ever.
which didn't make any sense because it only ticked at once every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, I was hoping the
Well,
engineer
it's just because of
more
their
like
righteous fury too.
oh
Right?
yeah,
Like,
the Righteous Fury was like extra 5,000% threat. So eventually it got to the point where all the paladins just spec ret and put on the threat seal and just see who could pull off aggro the most and just fuck with people. It was just Oh, those raids were horrible because we eventually got bored. But so yeah, let your tank get some aggro, please. I mean, like as a tank myself, it's so frustrating because I only have one taunt, and if I blow that taunt and you still aggro, well, you're probably gonna die. Most classes only have one taunt. I think the engineer has a taunt, the warrior has a taunt, and the stalker has one taunt. And I think there's I think there's a few off spells that are taunt, but those are on like 30-second cooldowns. So like,
Yeah, one of the bots has a taunt too for the engineer. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
the-
they walk around with two.
the bot dies in
Ish.
4 hits, so it's not like that's that important.
Yeah,
So I mean, just
it is nice though.
yeah, it is. But just let your tanks get threat, please, especially in raids. Oh my gosh, just let your tanks get threat, please. Just please. All right, so
I hear actually one of the things I haven't actually done this much because I have never tanked with the warrior, but they were saying on the beta forums that the warrior is a little bit of trouble doing threat generation,
he does, yes.
and that's like the biggest problem with the warrior tank. Whereas the other two had no problems with it at all. I'm sure that it'll get balanced out, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna play a warrior because I like the way they work. But
Taco Gamer fan, I think it. Taco Gamer fan, sure. We'll call him Taco because Taco's cooler.
Taco!
Pretty sure it's-
Taco,
pretty sure
ask.
it's Tacoma-
Not sure if you're covering
Tacoma
this.
Game Fan.
What?
Pretty sure it's Tacoma Game Fan.
Whatever. I'm dyslexic, so
No,
anyway. So
Tacoma
he
game fan.
yeah he's.
Tacoma, it totally is Tacoma. Taco.
All right, there we go. All right, so he asked, how often do you change your limited action set or LAS in a dungeon? Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I have changed my limited action set a bunch. Like now, more when I was doing DPS than when I was doing healing. Because
Yes.
as my medic, like there aren't like you almost pretty much just fill it up with healing spells because you leave a lot of the CC and a lot of utility stuff to other people. But when I was DPS medic in a dungeon, there were I had like maybe 5 main spells that I would always want, and then the rest of them I would be constantly changing in and out depending on the combat. Like there's one that I just cast and it's called cleanse or something like that, or not cleanse. It reduces your threat, and I had to throw it on there because I was just pulling constant from everyone. And I mean, there's some utility stuff that I was throwing on to help the party and things like that. So it was totally worth it. I really like the limited action set. I don't feel when I'm playing the game like you do in WoW, where you're like, okay, well, obviously there's a best way to do this. So you go look on the forums, and then you put them in the order that people tell you to, and then you go nice Nogoth, and then you go. And then you go and man, that just derailed me.
It did.
You're
Good job.
horrible. I can't feel. No, yeah. Then you go and you play the game, and it's just exactly the same way as everybody else. You're using the same weapon types. You're using the same
Same build,
Not-
same rotations, everything.
Does not feel like that at all. Like I was playing a medic, and I've run it like one of my friends plays a medic, and he doesn't play it the same way I do at all. We actually had a whole conversation about like using there's what's it called? Oh, Quantum Cascade. Like whether or not you should use that in certain situations, and we were kind of bickering over like the benefits and not benefits, because you can hit more targets with Quantum Cascade because it will hit everything that ends up in the particle. Whereas if you're using gamma rays, it does more overall damage, but it
Right.
will each beam will stop at the first unit it hits.
Right.
So you can potentially lose a lot of damage if you're trying to hit 3 or 4 people.
Something that I found really useful was there's a mod called Action Set Profiles where you can actually just set up a whole bunch of pre-made combat profiles for all your abilities, and I found that very useful because you can just, instead of having to like
LAS system then.
Yeah. I mean, like you are kind of locked with the amps. So you essentially get 2 amp sets that you can switch between, and then you have to go pay to replace them, and that gets expensive quickly. It's just like WoW's old school. Like you want to change all of your stuff and then rebuild it.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the limited action set works is very, very interesting because, like, I even find myself swapping it in and out during, like, leveling and stuff because it's like, okay, well, obviously this mob is going to kick my butt unless I put some healing on here, so I put on my lifesteal and all of everything else and just be like, all right, cool, come at me, and I'm at 90% health and he's dead, and I'm just like, yeah, that fight took 15 minutes, but I killed him. It's okay. We're okay. And then, you switch back to your other thing and you kill things faster. But, I mean,
Or you're in an area and you're pulling too much stuff around you, like, and you need to kill an individual target faster,
Yeah.
or you need to kill a bunch of things faster at the same time because sometimes killing individual targets is not the best way to go.
No, it's not. No, I found that in certain zones, like in certain areas of certain zones, I put on all my AoE things and just go crazy and just kill everything. But then, like you said, there's certain bosses, certain things in the instance that just really need. Gary, we're getting some wind from your mic there. There we go. I found that it's certain combat elements really kind of force you to really think and go, okay, who needs what stun? Why do we need it? Okay, so we need a 5th stun, so the healer, I need you to swap out your break CC ability with a stun or something. So I think that it really kind of forces you to play more as a team rather than just go, who can have the highest spot on the DPS chart? Which I'm very thankful for because that got old real quick.
Yeah. I like how PvP is a really good example of this. It rates all sorts of things in PvP. So when you can go into that and be a healer and not feel like you're being useless and and not have people yell at you because it's not a all DPS game.
Right.
And yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
No, I would definitely agree. So the last one on the list is DPS, and DPS, of course, is kind of important, or else nothing dies. You could just stand there and heal two people at a time, but it'd be boring and it'd last too long. DPS, your main concern in a dungeon is watching out for telegraphs. Don't go all like when I first started playing my Stalker, I just spammed like everything, and I've learned, and I've also taken off the delay when you hit on keys and everything, and just tapped keys in kind of like almost like a dance. It's like 1, 2, 3, 3. Just like very smooth movement because that's what the combat system is supposed to be made for. It's smooth, precise movement. It's not spam all these things and just cool. I have slice and dice up for the next 45 hours. Quick spam all these other keys and blah blah blah. No, it's a quick dance. But it's a very fluid and very kind of, I guess ballet style kind of combat system where you're really forced to make that decision of, okay, I have 45 energy. I can reapply my dot and start getting combo points, wrong class. Start getting suit power back again, or I can do another impale for another 2,000 damage. So you have to make those split decisions, and sometimes your rotation can get a little messed up because you got to move out of a telegraph, or you got to stun the target, or you have to completely scream like a girl because you're tank wiped and now he's killing you. I mean, it's those split-second decisions while you're also doing the combat dance that just really makes it a lot of fun as a DPS class. I mean, when I did my
screaming like a girl is a really important split-second decision.
It's a very, very hard skill to learn. You kind of got to get that really high pitch, like type of thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I think that as a DPS, you need to find.
We really need to get a girl on the show.
Why?
Stop the bro show.
I've actually heard that comparison for the dungeon fights being compared to a dance before, and I completely.
Really
Yeah, no, I agree.
So-
I agree. I was commenting on a screaming comment.
It's like,
but yeah, no.
if you mess up that dance and you land in one of the telegraphs, you're going to die. You messed up the dance, right? I mean,
Especially
it makes sense.
Especially with some of the power moves that the bosses do. Like they take off health so quickly that unless a healer is paying attention to you specifically at that moment, you're gonna go down because there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched people go down too where I'm a healer and I'm like, oh, that person needs my help, and I'm like, I can't run over there.
Sorry,
Like,
buddy.
and he's like, I'm dead. And I'm like, yeah, I watched you die. It sucks.
That actually reminds me of a comic. When World of Warcraft was first introduced, it was, it was something along the lines of, "Don't be afraid to tell your neighbor that there's trouble." And it was these two undead guys in the starting zone, and this bear snuck up on this one guy and he killed him. And then he's like, "I'm sorry," and his name was like 27 characters long. He's like, "I couldn't type your name fast enough to whisper you." And then the whisper reply back was a simple, "Hey, watch out," would have been helpful too. So, I mean, it's, like Tyrannus was saying, is you are forced to go, okay, so I can help this person, but I can't help this person now, or whatever. So I think that the way that DPS work in this game is just a lot of fun, because I'm actually enjoying being DPS again, because I switched over to healing a long time ago because it just got boring, repetitive, and there was really no challenge to it. I mean, for me, healing was a little bit more of a challenge, and DPS is a lot of fun again. So I really want to thank Carbine for making it more enjoyable, which is nice. Rusty, any other thoughts or opinions on the basics of dungeons?
No, I think we covered most of it. I mean, my experiences are pretty limited, but yeah, I think you covered most of the good stuff.
All right, cool. Also, guys, don't forget to follow the channel. It will notify you via email, and we will. It'll send you, say, hey, we're live now with Challenge Accept episode 11, 12, or any special events or tournaments we might be hosting in the near future and whatnot. So make sure to click that purple follow button. That would be very much appreciated, and all that fun stuff. Because we
And
did
remember to practice how to scream like a girl.
exactly.
Very important.
I mean, we did just move channels. Currently, it was beforehand it was on my personal channel, but we're kind of moving everything to a set brand name to make sure that we're like hey, look at us, we're cool. Google us, we're important. I guess I don't know.
He still puts the E's in accepted though. I don't know why.
No. I got rid of them now. We're all good.
But it says challenge accepted episode 10 with the
Yes,
E.
it does. But you know what? I will remove.
I'm gonna brand this real hard.
I want all the E's out of episode 2.
So it's
Facade.
Facade 10.
Facade 10. Oh, so let's take the E's out of everything. So it'd be Chow.
No, we have to have challenge as,
Okay.
as the full word, because
Okay.
that's the domain I got.
Okay. Oh, you sure don't want to change it again? Yeah. Anyway, okay. So breakout gameplay.
Oh, actually, that's a good
Yes.
point. Taco here wants to know a little bit about the interrupt armor, and I gotta say, so interrupt armor is an interesting thing. So essentially, for any of you that don't know, it allows you to stun larger creatures.
Yeah.
So like bosses or mini bosses or like hard mobs, certain things have interrupt armor in the game. And you will, as a player by yourself, run across these things in the world and be like, a stun, and it doesn't do anything because you need more than one of you around. And the idea is that one of you stuns, and then somebody else has a limited amount of time afterwards to stun again, and it takes the interrupt armor down. It works best if you just say, if you just have the tank call, like, when to interrupt and be like, stun, or say something really easy, and then everybody does it at once.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much every stun that's like useful or does interrupts has a 30-second cooldown, so you gotta be careful. If somebody burns it ahead of time, you won't be able to interrupt it, because there are certain bosses where all 5 of you have to.
Right.
If you don't all do it, you can't. A good example is in Storm Talon, the tornado boss. He does this lightning thing, and you get knocked to the back of the hall, and he does the tornadoes start going across, and then he does this lightning attack that starts shooting lightning all over the room. All of you have to run through the tornadoes and the lightning all the way down to the end of the hall where he is, and then interrupt him at the same time. And if you don't, you wipe. So that definitely, is a big deal. That's kind of how it works. I mean, there's your interrupt armor.
It's funny. Tyramus distracted himself is what happened. He's like, yeah, that pretty colors. Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. It's wonderful. Anyway, interrupt armor is interesting because you can grab interrupt armor yourself, if you have a certain talent. You can grab interrupt armor from other players. I think the medic can give interrupt armor with a certain amp or something, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. So I mean, there are certain talents and traits that give you the ability to gain interrupt armor, which makes you immune to stun. Essentially in PvP, they have to blow 2 stuns on you to actually. Is it important which stun is done last? No, as long as the crowd control ability happens, the crowd control ability will remove 1 interrupt armor, Taco. That's the way it goes. It's something to do. It's just how their system works. So it's like for PvP, I still have yet to see it work because I haven't been.
So
Yeah, go ahead. Rusty.
if like the boss has 3 interrupt armor, let's say,
You need 4.
then
You need 4 stuns.
you would need 4, right? So you need 3 to take away the 3 interrupt armor, and then a 4th one to actually stun him.
Correct. Yep. Yes. I mean, it's so players don't have any interrupt armor whatsoever. So having that in PvP would be like a huge deal because it's like I'm gonna blow my stun on this guy healing. Oh, it didn't work.
Oh, players though can build the interrupt armor.
Yeah. Yep. Which is useful as crap.
Wait, yeah, certain abilities will add interrupt armor to the people, and like certain heals, certain things. So you gotta be wary of that because that's one of the things that that you might want to do in dungeon, or if the boss is actually interrupting the tank and then doing something, or if you're having a mob that's interrupting the players and you need someone to stay alive, you cast a bunch of interrupt armor on that person, and then they don't get interrupted because the tank can't get through it.
Right. All right. So breakout gameplay. Rusty, what are your thoughts on the new way it has been presented?
I don't know. It's pretty. I don't really know. It's pretty wild, to be honest. I'm just enjoying everything with the gameplay so far. I mean, through the beta we're seeing small bugs here and there, but everything so far has been really wild. I'm enjoying a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that the overall premise of breakout gameplay is good. Delirium, what are your thoughts on the way it's been presented now?
I like that you can actually counter CC abilities. So, like, if you get knocked down, you can roll out of it. If you're blinded, you can.
Instead of spamming F to get out of stun, it's the you just press
random. It chooses one of the buttons in your WASD, and then you have to hold it down and you get out.
Okay.
But it's fast.
But yeah, it was sometimes fast.
Yeah.
But one thing to note though, and I'm gonna do this tomorrow when I get to log in because it's the best idea ever. Apparently, they're making it. Hopefully, it works tomorrow too. They're making it so that you can change those buttons to anything on the keyboard. So I'm gonna put it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can use my mouse to do it instead of having to think about my movement keys.
Yeah, so one bug I found, it's just a great bug, is the thing will pop up and it'll just all be blank keys.
Oh, that's odd.
So I'm like, but I don't know I don't have it. Okay, I'll just stand in the telegraph and cry. And it happened to me the entire run of Storm Talon's Lair. The whole time. Every time I would get hit by a telegraph or get stunned, I think it worked like once. And I was like, oh, cool, I actually get to experience breakout gameplay. And I was like, oh, that was fun. Do I ever get to do it again? Nah, it was just like it was like the worst bug out of every bug I've experienced in the game so far. That was just like, well, that completely negates the whole point of the system. So I bug reported it and put it on the forums and was like, Carbine, fix this because it's annoying. I've also heard a couple other bugs where it picks like random keys and aren't even movement keys. So
That happened to me. I had E show up for no reason. I was like, E's not. What is
press
this all about?
tilde. What the hell is tilde? I don't even know what that key is. It's the one next to the one, I think, right? The one above the tab.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. But so like you do know. It negates your comment.
I know.
Your joke is now less funny.
Dang it.
And mine is more. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. It is a little buggy. I had at one point I was holding W down because I was moving forward, and then I got stunned, and then I let go and I put it down again, and it didn't do anything. So I died. wasn't fun.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
So I, don't know.
I
I
think-
think that's the product of it being new, though. I mean, there's some.
I think the new breakout gameplay then, because like I didn't know that they actually changed it because I haven't had much chance of to play the game recently, but I think like getting out of stuns, having it as a random movement key, I think that's a lot better than just spamming F
F?
every time.
Yeah, and
Because
the
like
the F
spamming
too,
any
like-
button gets really annoying, right? Where you can just hold it down to break out of gameplay. Like it's, I think this is more effective if they can fix the bugs.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would completely agree. I was really fearing like for my F key. I was like, okay, so am I gonna have to replace my keyboard every 3 months, or is this gonna change? Like a lot of people were suggesting that, just let the stuns just peer out the entire duration, and I'm like, no, that's a horrible idea. I don't want to just sit there and take 40,000 damage in the matter of 4 seconds. That does not sound fun.
I like the fact that you can actually counter CC, and taking that away would be a
Yes.
terrible idea.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you knocked me down? Suck it. I'm going to roll out of the way. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
always get out of those.
But I found that if you stun them and then knock them down, they can't do crap. It's great. It's like a guaranteed double whammy stun. That's
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, because if you knock them down and then stun them, they're knocked down, and they're not able to roll out of the knockback. Yeah.
That's very smart.
Yeah. So speaking of getting out of stuns, my biggest pet peeve right now is the Stalker is the only class that does not have a free break stun. We have to go to tier 4 for it. Every other class has a base get out of all stuns, and that needs to be looked at, Carbine, because that is really unfair.
I would assume that the Stalker would be the one with it.
Yeah, right.
Just considering the class. like,
Yeah,
playstyle.
it might just be a complete overlook because the bug was the base would break out of all the CC like it should or something like.
Okay, considering the playstyle of a class like
Yeah.
that, where like the major thing is mobility, stealth, and like it makes no sense that they wouldn't have like a get out of jail free card for
Right,
CC.
right, yeah. It's an interesting kind of little way that I think they just kind of overlooked everything while changing all the classes around. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's fine. I don't mind tiering to tier 4 because it gives me a farther leap range and longer stealth. I don't really care, but I'd rather tier into tier 4 preparation or tier 4 pounce rather than being forced to tier into getting out of CC. But
And that would have been part of like your class ability, your R button. I would assume is for the Stalker, like, oh yeah, R would probably get them out of. But it's not even in that, huh? That's strange.
No, the R's all of our different stealth stances. So we have lethal,
Oh, I see.
agile, and then veracity or not velocity. Because of
Veracity?
V. Something V, something cool with claws. Rar.
Okay.
So the defensive stance gives us bonus defense when we exit stealth. The agile stance gives me extra endurance, lifesteal, and I get movement speed when I exit stealth. And then the other one gives me a 100% chance to crit when I'm in stealth after I use an ability, and blah blah blah. So
alright.
it kind of makes the Stalker like really really versatile. There was a stance build for a while, but they nerfed it a little bit because once you use your stance and you're in combat, you lose all your suit power, which is just aggravating because you're like, oh, okay, I'll just kind of sit here. So now you would have to use one of your traits to every time you switch a stance, you like gain certain suit power per second. But they kind of like really changed a lot of the way the dynamics work with the Stalker with the last couple patches. But I'm really enjoying it. Delirium, I know that you've only had a couple chances to play with all your limited play thing, but what classes have you found to be the most frustrating to do while trying to have to use that breakout gameplay mechanic?
Honestly, probably the Spellslinger, because like once you get like I like the fact that the Spellslinger has so much movement and stuff, but I feel like once you get stunned or something, it kind of breaks that whole rhythm and like I don't know. Like I once again, I haven't had a lot of experience, but I noticed maybe it's just because I find that the spell slinger is just really difficult overall. But I'm honestly not sure.
Okay. All right. Rusty, how about yourself? What has been the most frustrating class to play in terms of the breakout gameplay mechanic?
Well, between the two that I've been doing, the engineer and the medic definitely, when he gets locked out with a breakout, is definitely a life or death situation, because there's nothing. I'm so used to having a pet or two pets to keep me afloat, and when the medic drops and he starts losing, his builder right away, you're in trouble if you can't break out of that as fast as you can.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Tyremus, what about you? What have you found to be the most frustrating class in terms of breakout mechanics?
Like frustrating, like to face, or frustrating to like be.
Both.
Okay, well they are all the same. The breakout mechanics are all the same. For
Well,
every
okay,
class. But like,
Mr. Smartass over here. They're all the same. You do the same thing, you freaking noob. Gee, I mean, in terms of like the way the combat kind of goes and flows with different classes. Because if you're playing an Esper and you get stunned, it's a lot harder to come back from that than, say, a class that has super range, like a Spellslinger, that can just jump into the void, get super range back, and start going crazy. I mean, the Esper doesn't have a lot of those.
I feel
yeah,
like
but the
I feel like the
has
spell
the
slinger.
most stuns. If they're prepared, they can just stop people from doing anything for
A stun
quite a
spell?
while.
Like
Yeah.
but the spell slinger, like the benefit to the spell slinger is its high mobility, right? But at the same time, I feel like if someone actually does catch you and hit you with one of those CC abilities, it can be so detrimental because
Yeah.
you're so squishy.
You're squishy,
So-
and if they wait, like, see, this is how I take a spell slinger if I'm a medic. I will wait till they use like void slip or gate, one of those two, and then I'll stun them.
Yeah.
So that they're stunned and they're still waiting on their cooldown for the void slip, and then they still got 20 seconds to deal with it because it's a 30-second void slip and gate are fairly large.
Yes.
Large cooldowns. I think it's 13 seconds or 14 seconds or something for gate. And
Because they're so squishy, I like. Yes, it's very, very easy to avoid CC as a spell slinger, and yes, it's very easy to get away. But once you do get hit by that CC, I find that it's almost impossible to come back because like you're almost like once you get into that range of like actually being able to get hit by your opponent, you're pretty much dead. And if you can't like react to it, then
Well, I mean,
GG.
which is why CC break makes it is such an important factor in this game. I think that like I've faced a lot of really good spell slingers that are able to really kind of combat my CC oriented builds, but I mean, I'm not max level, so I've known and I've seen that Stalker at max level is a very, very hard force to contend with because that's what they're made for. The Stalker, like any other game, any other assassin class, is specifically designed for player versus player environments. Like if you look at all their utility skills, they have snares, they have roots, they have pulls, they have stuns, they have re-stealth, they have backflips and front flips and no flips and some like that. They have all these certain styles that just completely says, hey, I'm a PvP class and you're going to die. Where like a Spellslinger and Esper are more of like a hybrid PvE kind of PvP class. I've seen a lot of Espers use a lot of like their melee attacks more than like their like standstill turret stuff because it's more it just works better. I feel. I mean, like the Tyremus, you're shaking your head there. He's like, I was? Okay. All right, well, what is your problem?
I don't know, nothing. I'm having fun.
Okay. Jeez.
I live
okay.
in earthquake country. There was
okay.
There was a 6.5 here or something, like 6.6 the other day.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't even feel it.
I've never been in an earthquake. I've always wanted to be one, just because I wanted to feel it.
Yeah.
Terminus is like, it's not that great. I mean, you kind of panic
Yeah,
and stuff falls.
off the north of our island, there was a 6.6 earthquake, and there was almost a tsunami warning, but
Sweet.
and they realized there wasn't going to be. So yeah, and just to put that in perspective, what was it, 6.3 earthquake is what put the tsunami in. Where is it? Destroyed that whole place.
Oh, the one in
Japan?
Japan?
No.
The big, that tsunami destroyed the whole place. Well, okay, that's really specific. Timers. Okay, it's CMR, his name's Orange, and I can't read it from this distance. All right, it's
CMR Dread.
There we go. Thank you. Like orange is the only color of name I can't read at this distance, and I'm like, what? I need glasses. But he says he just presses his face against the keyboard and hopes for the best, which that can work, but you're probably gonna not do well. But hey, you never know.
That, sir, is where the term face rolling came from.
Hey, you play a paladin, you do that, you win. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. And see, now Tyremus is furiously trying to find where that one place was destroyed by the tsunami. Oh, man.
What? I'll figure it out later.
All right.
You can always call shenanigans on me later.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so as far as the breakout gameplay mechanic goes, what is your dislikes? Delirium, well, I guess I'll start with you.
There are no dislikes except for bugs.
Okay, Rusty.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think it's cool. It's just got to be cleaned up. It's just not right yet, but you got to expect that.
I really
Tyremus,
hate being
anything
blinded.
Say again?
I really hate being blinded, but I mean,
Oh,
obviously you're not gonna like.
I hate being
Obviously, I'm
disoriented.
not gonna.
Disoriented is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
worst.
disoriented.
I
That's
hate
my favorite
that.
one.
I hate that. It's so annoying.
I like seeing how far away I can get.
But at the same time,
Disoriented is so hard, but like sometimes you just get it. Like sometimes you're like Q going forward, D going back, and like you're like, yes, I know what I'm doing. And then like the satisfaction level for confusion when you get it, when you're like, I'm still awesome, it is much higher.
Then there are
Like when you're
times-
blinded and you see the guys through the little thing and you're like, oh, attack, and you see the numbers and you're like, oh, I am hitting them still. It's not like, and then it goes away and you're okay with it. But like confusion, when you defeat confusion, you're like,
yes,
yeah.
I'm awesome. Fist bump. Yeah. See, the problem is I'm dyslexic, so that just makes it worse for me. I'm like, left is down, and wait, no, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, when I get confused, so if you're ever dueling me, you want to confuse my character right away, so I just have no idea what's going on. Thankfully, no class actually is able to do that, because that would be incredibly overpowered.
I just want to say thanks to Taco, because you're the only one left. You're the only one left in here, and now it's just a bunch of us.
Technically, wait, what? What are you talking about?
All the rest of the people that we're hanging out with are it's Taco.
There's 7 people watching.
Yeah, they're still.
I know, they're all us. If you look at the channel, they're all us.
Well, okay, whatever.
Well, there's 4 of us though.
Yeah.
So there's at least 3 people.
Yeah, Tyremus, you can't rely on the actual Twitch number and like the viewer count because it's not correct because it doesn't update in real time. So, yeah.
I don't know about that. Mine doesn't seem to have a problem. Nogoth is also one of us, by the way.
Well, you know what? Thanks for making me feel like just really not important now.
You're not
Wow.
screaming like a girl hard enough.
I'm sorry, I can't. My son's asleep. My wife would probably castrate me. So
You'll be screaming a lot easier then.
that's true. Oy vey. All right, so we are going to end this show here. We actually had a pretty fun and interesting show for the first Moved channel show. So check it out. Check us out on Twitter. It's going to be @ChallengeFailed. Facebook and the website is going to be Challenge Accepted, but Accepted has no E's. And website is challengeaccepted.com. And just remember, guys, it's beta weekend tomorrow. And just remember, look outside at least once, just so you know what real sunlight looks like. It's very important.
13 hours from now.
13 hours from now, yeah. I unfortunately tomorrow have to go to work and then grab a couch and then put gutters in my house, which will just be great. It's a lot of fun.
I got the whole weekend off. I got Friday to Monday off again.
Nice, very
so I'm pretty
nice.
pumped.
I am starting an RPG game for a game
Yeah,
called
I
Anima
was
Beyond Fantasy.
so bitter about that.
I
saw it
no.
on Facebook, and I'm like, "You're doing that away from it,
Gary,
No!
I'm starting one in the fall, so if you want to join one.
Better be starting something. I want to do some tabletop.
Dude, we should try doing tabletop over Skype. That'd be fun.
That'd be fun, yeah.
Possible, we could do that. There's a board game thing that you can do that allows
Yeah,
you to
roll 20.
Is it Roll20?
Yeah, you could use Roll20, or there's another one that lets you do like Warhammer 40K
Yep.
and you know.
Yeah,
more-
Roll20 is the one that lets you. You're right. That lets you do it like. It looks cool.
Cool, very nice. Well, we might do that in the distant future here, but that's going to be it for the show, guys. If you guys haven't picked up a key, there is just literally tons of websites right now. If you just go to the WildStar forums and
Or their Twitter,
or the it's literally everywhere. Like people have I just saw on Twitter, someone just gave someone 1,500 beta codes for this weekend. So
Did they actually fix that
Yes.
email glitch that they had?
They did. Yeah.
Okay.
And thanks to that email glitch, I got like double the keys.
Did you?
Yeah, because
Yeah, you said you had 40 or something. Right?
yeah, yeah. Shh, I didn't make dummy accounts. What are you talking about? No. Like when the game was first announced, like it looked really cool. So I have like all these dummy emails that I sign up for beta access with. I have like 40 or 50 of them, and I just go through and just enter all my email addresses to like every single game. And the best part is I never get like invited to beta ever. And my friend only signs up for it once, and he always gets invited. Like every game he applies for, he gets invited. And like out of all my 50, I never get invited. I'm like, what?
That is
That's not.
infuriating.
Mathematically, it doesn't make any sense. But that's okay. Anyway, but
Did you? Just before we finish, did you notice on the official forums for WildStar, Cougar had made a large post about.
Yes.
Yeah, he just wanted to make sure that people knew that they weren't cheating or giving out free stuff to developers or people who are researching their game. And
Honestly,
I
I didn't even care. Like
Yeah.
when they said that, I was like, it's beta. I
Yeah,
mean, if
it's
they wanted
beta.
to fly
That's exactly
around
what I thought, yeah.
and like attack things with super missiles
Yeah.
or something, they could do that. Like I just thought it was pretty funny because I mean, yeah, when the game launches and stuff like that, but even then, I just don't care a lot. It made a big deal when it was EVE Online because the game is all player versus player based. So
Right.
it's not like there is PvE in the game, but it's actually a fairly secondary aspect to what the whole game's economy is driven on and the whole world is driven on. Like you are in factions fighting other people in other factions, and then you have like this player economy where players build actual items and then sell them for a cost, and depending on where they are and where they're selling it, they can sell it for a premium because it's further away from where somebody would normally be able to
Right.
get that item. So there's all of those aspects towards it, and the thing that the guy stole was a bunch of blueprints which allowed him to build items that nobody could actually build yet, or they were really hard to get. So an actual developer who was playing the game stole a bunch of items that are hard to get.
Wow.
And
That's
and
messed
then he
up.
was selling them and making money,
Yeah.
and that's essentially like a gold scamming and things like
Right.
that, because that's what he's doing, except doing it with the in-game ability. But if somebody was like a developer was doing that with himself in WildStar, really it would only affect him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe he'd win some more matches in PvP, but like that in the grand scheme of things, that is fairly minor. It's not really
Well,
affecting a lot
I
of
mean,
players.
it's-
So
it's-
I mean, it's cool they're doing it,
Yeah.
but I am on that. I just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as like doing that stuff in beta, I don't care. Spawn 1,000 different mobs and just wipe the whole city.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Spawn route.
Back in the vanilla days of World of Warcraft, Devs would do that all the time, and you know what? That was a lot of fun. I mean, like personally, I'm with you, Tyramus. I don't really care. I mean, as long as they're not like going around
I would
grifing
be
people.
interested. I would be interested to see them fill one of the biodomes
Mhm.
with
With-
rouse dancers.
Oh my gosh,
Like fill it, like all the way up.
Oh my
and
gosh.
have them like moving and like walking on top of each other. And stuff. I think that would.
Can you imagine the amount of lag that you would get in that song?
Oh yeah, it would be
It'd be
unreal.
amazing. Carbine,
But
please do this for like the last day of beta. I want you guys to do a stream that you just like fill like random zones with a bunch of sheep. That would be, and then you make them all explode. That would be the perfect send off to the beta servers and the best way to introduce the game into into going live.
And
Burns
probably
out
the
my-
best way to sell a
burns
lot of
out
Rouse
my
Downer
board.
plushies.
Dude, I
Yeah,
want one
dude, I
so
want one of
bad.
those.
those things-
My buddy
it would sit right next to my. It would sit right next to my
Yeah.
Zergling Baneling Popple.
My buddy went to PAX East and got me a keychain and mailed it to me, and I'm currently using that for my keychain. It's awesome. I'm
Oh,
excited.
very nice.
I'm excited. But a shout out to Mr. Nick there, who went to PAX. But anyway, guys, enough rambling and enough trying to actually say goodbye. But that's going to be it for this week. Same time, same channel. Make sure to click the purple follow button to the left hand corner of the screen you're watching there to give us a couple follows. And if you like what we're doing, give us some feedback on the forums and all that other fun stuff. So thanks, guys, for watching. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.